Boris Johnson on Monday lost his latest bid to hold an early general election. But the UK Prime Minister could now attempt another way to send Britons to the polls before Christmas.
We will not allow this paralysis to continue, and one way or another we must proceed straight to an election.
He says that's what's needed to break the country's Brexit impasse. His Monday evening vote calling for an election was expected to be a challenge.
Because the majority required has not been reached, the noes have it.
In a House where Johnson lacks a majority, he needed the backing of 2/3 of lawmakers. But the main opposition party, led by Jeremy Corbyn, abstained.
The reason I'm so cautious is quite simply I do not trust the Prime Minister.
Order!
It was Johnson's third attempt to call for an early election. Previous attempts were blocked because his opponents wanted to first make sure that Britain would not exit the EU without a deal, something Johnson had threatened. But his do-or-die pledge to leave on October 31st is set to be broken, after he was forced by Parliament to ask the EU for a 3-month extension. On Monday, 27 members who will remain in the bloc agreed to that delay. But the EU is fatigued by the protracted Brexit crisis, and one diplomat said it was hoped the so-called Brextension would be used wisely. But British politicians are no closer to deciding how, when, or even if the divorce should take place. Johnson says an election is needed.
The government will give notice of presentation for a short bill for an election on the 12th of December.
He could now try and bypass the UK's election rules with a piece of legislation stating that Parliament had decreed an election take place on a certain date. It would only need a simple majority, and could get the support of smaller opposition parties who said they would agree to an early election under certain conditions.